Welcome back to The Watch. I am here with Shad, and today we're talking about The Witcher.
The Witcher. Who's this guy?
Hi, my name is Kramer, and I'm a fellow YouTuber. I generally talk about medieval stuff as well on my channel, Living Anachronism, but I'm here today visiting Australia.
That's right.
In the Shadlands themselves. And, yeah.
You've been making content with us on Shadiversity. You're here on Night's Watch, and you are a bit of a fan of The Witcher.
Oh, yeah. Done tons of videos on The Witcher specifically, like all the dodge rolls he does in the games and the sword spins and stuff like that. It's all good stuff.
Oh, so this is good because I got through season 1, season 2 checked out. What were your thoughts on the Netflix adaptation of The Witcher?
I was originally so excited for it because, so caveat here, the books are on my list of something to read, but I'm one of those people where it's like, if I can read The Lord of the Rings instead, I'll probably just do that again. So the books are on my list. I know the plot of the books because I researched that in order to know what I'm talking about. But I come from the games. And I was really excited for the show. Netflix season 1, I was like, okay, maybe they're still finding their stride. I gave them the benefit of the doubt at the time. Big mistake. But season 2 came along, and I liked the first episode a lot. And then can we do spoilers?
Yeah,
do spoilers. It's been out for a while.
Right now, Netflix Witcher is dead.
Yep.
Dead in the water. It was already dying with Henry Cavill on, but when he left,
we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
resuscitation there. But before, I guess, quickly, share your thoughts on
Yeah, so they killed Eskel, and I was like, okay, no, we're done. We're done. So I finished out season 2. It was an abomination, and I didn't even watch season 3. As much as I respect Henry Cavill's work ethic for this show, I'm glad he left.
Yeah, they did not deserve him. And there's been a recent comment by the author of The Witcher that came out in regards to the set, and he seemed to have taken it in mostly kind of positive
It's one of
way.
those comments where it could be skewed based on who's reporting the information.
Yes, and he actually was kind of saying it in like, this doesn't really matter, but it does, for me, reveal the attitude of the showrunners and creators of The Witcher. Because if I was adapting someone else's work, you'd think, well, wouldn't you think you would pay attention or llisten to the creator of that work, the author?
Absolutely. But we've seen time and time again that people in the industry don't do that so much anymore.
I'm already annoyed at this, where you have these people who, honestly, they don't seem to have a lot of experience, they don't have a lot of achievements, and their talent is questionable.
Yeah. So I'm not necessarily from the Hollywood sector of the film industry, but I did study to be an actor, part of the intro here. So I'm an actor, and as someone who's like sort of in the industry there, what it really seems like to me is a bunch of people who really aren't part of the fantasy or medieval sort of nerd fandom, and they're just looking for a jumping off point for their career. And
exactly.
They think that they can fake it, but they can't.
They're after trying to prop themselves up. And so I really see, with the Netflix adaptation, with Rings of Power adaptation, with the Wheel of Time adaptation, so often you have these people that come along that actually, they do not care about this stuff, right? But they see it as a vehicle to prop themselves up. And so instead of being interested in adapting the material and giving the fans what they want, they think that they can do a better job. They think they can take this, and then they see, there's all these problematic elements, and this is not good for the current day. I can come in and do much better to make it more representative according to my ideology, their ideology, right? And then they actually have the hubris to think that they can make something better, and then they basically sometimes they throw most of it out, some of it out, but then they absolutely inject their own stories. And when we've seen with Rings of Power, with Wheel of Time, and it really seems like with The Witcher, the crap that these people make up is pathetic.
Yeah, it's much worse than whatever source material they could have done.
They are not nearly as talented storytellers as the authors that made these works.
Nothing feels worse than watching a show, any show, and seeing something happen, anything, and then thinking, maybe they'll do this. Maybe this is where they're going with it. And then they're like, actually, we're not going to go anywhere. It just happened. Isn't that neat? And I'm just left there, sitting there with my own thoughts going, my imagination's better than this show.
Yes, so often. And I do it by accident, right? I'm watching a movie, and what was the recent thing we reviewed? Marvels. Even you watch our review on the Marvels, right? there are a couple of times where I mention where I foolish me for making an assumption to think clearly this is where the story will go, or what the characters will do, because that's just the obvious common sense thing to see happen. And then they subvert my expectations and do something even more stupid. And I need to stop thinking I need to start giving benefit of the doubt and expecting them to just do common, not even smart things, just basic common sense things.
You're asking too much. I mean, literally that happened when Eskel died. I was like, okay, maybe he was a Doppler. Maybe they're going to do something else to bring him back. Maybe it wasn't really him. And no, he just turned into a tree and they killed him. That was just it.
And sometimes it's like they go out of their way to either kill off beloved characters or assassinate characters, make them vastly more worse and everything. Like, my big point in comparison, I guess, to your love of The Witcher is my love of The Wheel of Time. And I'm a massive book fan. I love The Wheel of Time. And they went out of their way in the Wheel of Time adaptation to make characters worse. They wanted to make the villain sympathetic, and the heroes are just too noble in the books. They've got to make them morally grey. And so they make, one of the characters making a deal with basically the equivalent of the devil in the story, right? So they'll never do this. Something like the most evil people, Dark Friends, do. But they have a character doing it to betray another character. Oh, morally grey. Then they have a character, right, abandon and betray his friends after being bedridden. And the actor that played this character leaves the show. And so they try to excuse his actions by they needed to write him out. And it's like, he was already bedridden. Just have him able to come to...
Easy.
But they went out of their way to assassinate the goodwill of this character. Because they're malicious. They want to destroy...
I think part of it is that Game of Thrones was so big, right?
Yeah.
Game of Thrones was known for subverting expectations. It is known, Khaleesi. It was known that they were going to kill off random characters, sometimes your favorite character, and the plot was going to be taken in a lot of different interesting ways. And I think if we're talking about people that are not really part of the fantasy fandom, that are just looking to boost their own careers, I'm not casting any aspersions. Maybe that's not what it is. I'm just saying that's what it feels like. If you have people like that just know what Game of Thrones was about, they might think this is what people want. This is what people in the fantasy sort of genre want to see from their shows, and that's why they do all this crazy stuff, because it's just like, oh, it's unexpected. Oh, look at how randomly dark this really light character is. It's like,
maybe
it has to be set up. It has to be written well. That's why we like it.
But you have to have a lack of care and appreciation for the source material to be willing to kill off beloved characters, especially when the source material has characters die.
And the writer is on set.
And you could ask him, right? And we will get to the author of The Witcher's comments, because that's the kind of the springboard that wanted us to talk about this, right? But there's even been a comment by Taika Waititi about Thor recently that I saw on Twitter, where he basically says, I never really liked the character Thor or thing. And so...
Which feels like just such a slap in the face, because I liked a lot of the Thor movies. I thought he did a good job.
Well, he's done two.
Yeah, I liked, what was it?
Ragnarok.
I really liked Ragnarok. I thought it was great.
It's funny, as a self-contained film, there's things to appreciate in it, but people are pointing out, I think I'm agreeing when they're pointing out, that Ragnarok was like the beginning of the end for the Thor character in setting him up to be a joke.
Yeah.
Because when we get to Love and Thunder, Thor is a joke, a pathetic, contemptible joke throughout the whole movie.
I even like the way they took him in, we're getting super off topic, but I like the way they took him in...
Infinity War?
Yeah, Infinity War.
Infinity War,
and Endgame, when he was...
Oh, see,
it was interesting. It was interesting. And he still got to be a tough tank in battle.
But Infinity War, they set something up really strong with Thor, but... So anyway, let's get back to...
Right.
So this is what the author has actually said about The Witcher. He says, the set was tremendous. I gave them some ideas, but they never listened to me. I'm putting the emphasis on this, by the way, because he goes on to said, laughing it off, it's normal. Who's this? It's a writer. It's nobody. And I'm thinking, that's like, they treated him on set like nobody.
I mean, yeah. He doesn't seem to care that much, but I can only just think, if
he got his paycheck.
Yeah, I mean, if Tolkien had showed up to the filming of the Peter Jackson trilogy, right? Like maybe he would not have liked it. I don't know. But think the actors themselves absolutely would have thrown themselves at his feet and been like, please tell me if I'm doing okay.
I think he probably wouldn't have liked it, because there are letters from Tolkien about people wanting to adapt his work and just reaming them for how how the disrespect they did for us. It's like, you don't understand this at all. The thing is, though, you know what that means? If you think you would have had an issue with Peter Jackson, imagine what he would think about Rings of Power.
Yeah, people, this is not a Rings of Power video. I will contain myself.
He would have, like, gone nuclear with what they did in Rings of Power. Like, it's unbelievable, the disrespect. And so it seems like with Witcher, how do you say his name?
Andrew Sapkowski.
Is it Andrew? Because it's not spelled Andrew.
Yeah, I pronounced it the way it's spelled once, and my comment section immediately was like, it's not pronounced that way. And I was like, okay, I've only read it, so I'm sorry.
He's funny. He doesn't seem to care too much about what people do with his work outside of the books. Like,
it depends on who you ask. Because
really?
Because he apparently like really hated the games. But again, it depends on who's reporting that.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I haven't talked to him personally. But I think that the line is that he was kind of bitter that he sold the rights for the games really cheaply and then didn't realize they were going to explode.
Yeah. They actually offered him a revenue or royalty based on sales, and he turned it down because he didn't think it would be successful, and he lost so much money on that.
Sometimes you take the L, man. Like I don't know, but.
So, yeah, I think is a little cut from that. But still, the fact that the showrunners and writers of Netflix would just treat the author with such disregard, like a nobody, and not listen to anything. And this goes to
it's just very telling. It explains exactly why the show is not doing well.
The show is contemptible, and the people making this are contemptible because they literally saw it as a vehicle to not only push their own agenda, but to mock it. Like the season 1, the Nilfgaardian armor, I have raked that across the coals for how bad it is, right? They literally were inspired. They wanted to make the Nilfgaardians look like penises. They went out of their way to make the armor.
That's confirmed.
That's confirmed. One of the people literally said that, right? And look at the helmets. They are. They're walking.
I was hoping that wouldn't be true.
It's true, right? It's a joke to them. They thought wouldn't it be funny to make the bad guys look like walking Ds, you know? Like,
no.
It's not funny, but it shows how little regard they had for that. That's just one example amongst multiple, like the fact the death of Roach scene, right? They wanted to make that one. Exactly. But the actual creators, the showrunners, wanted to make that a comedic joke. And Henry came in and says, no. Then he ad-libbed what is arguably the best scene in the entire season.
And I think he took from the books, too. I think he quoted something from one of the later books. But, yeah, I mean, like, they made such a huge mistake not having Henry Cavill be, like, a producer or a co-producer or something. I feel so bad for him. And I know, like, he's a very stand-up guy. He doesn't want us feeling bad for him. I respect him a lot. But he went into this knowing the games, knowing the books, and he really wanted this role. He loves The Witcher, and he was probably fighting the producers and
we know,
everyone.
Like, the people, they've even come out after the fact to try to say that Henry's difficult to work with, and he's not difficult to work with, okay? He might be difficult to work with people who are trying to butcher the project that he is trying to be part of, right? Where he was actually trying to fight it to be more respectful and more in line with the thing, right? That's not inherent. That's like, Henry, good on you, man, for trying.
There were people who were like, "Oh, Netflix, bring him back." And I'm like, "No, I respect Henry for leaving, and I think he made the right decision to jump ship."
Absolutely. And so, with these comments after the fact now, it's just it's already been confirming signs again and again that the people who have control of this show, not only are they not worthy of it, they are insulting it by what they're doing to it, and that is contemptible.
There was an episode in season 2 where they literally use one of the dockhands or something to insult the audience for caring about season 1. I don't remember the exact quote. Maybe that's another video, but I watched that and I had to pause the show and go take a break because I was so how do you do that? How do you insult your own viewers like that?
Just another beloved property sacrificed on the altar of agenda and ideology, because that's what the vehicle is. They want to push their own story, and you can really see, and it really comes through in even season 2 about who are the main characters.
It's not Geralt.
It's not Geralt, yeah. And season 3, I haven't even bothered with.
Nope. I'm sorry, Henry. You can't save it. It's not your fault. It's not your fault, man.
It's dead, Jim. And then they're pushing for a season 4. It's like.
It would be a mistake to think, oh, maybe this time they'll fix it. Maybe this time they'll fix it.
Not,
It's gone too far off
Yeah.
the deep end. If they do fix it, I'll wait for someone to tell me, and then maybe I'll give it a shot.
Well,
But
we're not bothering to review it on Night's Watch because it's, like I said,
it's confirmed dead.
Yeah, and it does not deserve our attention or time. And the main thing is, everyone already knows now it's a dumpster fire. Because people try and say that you're giving money when you review things. Like, actually, when we review things that people don't know if it's good or bad, and we let people know how bad it is, trust me, like, there are more people that decide not to watch it that would have for our few tickets that we bought to review it than otherwise. And so you can guarantee that the people, the mainstream, they hate reviewers like us calling out their crap is crap. But then when everyone knows, I'm happy to let Witcher remain dead, but it is good to get, like, you know, an additional perspective that you have.
Well, this is also like a development about the production, not
Yes.
necessarily like a review of the show. We know the show is bad.
Yeah. But that's where it's
just so it's just
sad.
such a shame. But on that note,
there we are. That's The Witcher is dead. Doesn't look like it's coming back. Well, you know, it's
not if Netflix is in control.
But the thing is, then there's One Piece. I think One Piece is going to be more of an anomaly because there's already warning signs for the Avatar live action. And so we would love to have good things. Sometimes we get the rare exception, but this is where it's at. And don't worry, we'll keep an eye on it because that's what we do. Stay on watch.